Welcome, everyone, to another episode of the Scuttlebutt. I'm your host, Shaun Hall, Director of Programming with the Veterans Breakfast Club. I'm excited for this episode today because every season we tend to dive into the military headlines and bring you some news storylines that we're reading. But this one in particular, we came across some weird ones. So we decided to make a news of the weird from the military. There's a lot of fun stuff that we're going to get to. Along with that type of news, we also have several videos that we want to show. If you are listening to this podcast, please jump over to the YouTube channel or watch this on veteransbreakfastclub.org/scuttlebutt, because I think you're going to be interested in the videos that we're going to show. One of them being an Air Force recruitment video, another being a PSYOPS recruitment video, and another one that I don't want to ruin. It comes near the end of the podcast, so you'll have to watch through to view that one. It's pretty funny. But overall, we thought it'd be good to have a humorous take on the military news that we've been seeing. And I think you'll find it pretty humorous as well. So without further ado, enjoy the episode.
Hey everyone, my name is Ryan All. I'm an Army veteran and I am here at the Pittsburgh Vet Center where we provide readjustment counseling to veterans. And we're gonna go over some hot topics on the Scuttlebutt with my buddy Shaun here.
I always like doing the news episodes of the Scuttlebutt. We sort of pile everything into one episode, but this one feels a little more like the news of the weird as we sort of like went across the headlines. We're like, there's some interesting military headlines that are happening right now that are just like out there. And we have some videos to play. And like I said in the intro, jump over to YouTube and watch this episode on YouTube, because there are 3 videos that we want to show during this episode that are all military related. But what we want to get to is, though, before we get to the news of the weird, we do want to highlight one particular article. This comes from the stripes.com, Stars and Stripes. And, you know, I say this Stars and Stripes because a lot of times we say like, this comes from Military Times, or this comes from military.com, or this comes from
Task and Purpose.
Task and Purpose, that's another one. But I'm going to get on to the Scuttlebutt, a Military Times journalist, an actual military journalist, to talk about all of the different forms that you can get your news from, all the different platforms you can get your military news from, and talk about where, because as a civilian, it's just like, you don't really know where to go. So you have all these different places, but which ones, you know, should you really look at, and what highlights, you know, particular aspects of the military. We'll get into that in a future episode. Anyway, this first one comes from starsandstripes.com. A 2-star general becomes the first woman to lead Horn of Africa Command. This is U.S. Army Major General Jamie Shawley. Recently took over in Djibouti. This is sort of a big milestone in the military's 20-year mission there. She is a 92 graduate of West Point. She took over from U.S. Africa Command's General Stephen Townsend. This seems like a really big deal, Ryan, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's I think the general population and even a lot of the military doesn't understand how much we're doing in Africa right now, which is a lot. So it's a big deal. I think that there is we catch snippets in the news here and there, but the fact that, you know, just the fact that there's a new general in charge is a big deal, right? That is a growing area, especially when you talk about, you know, the idea of the global war on terror and all of these other things. But that is an area that is getting a lot more attention, sub-Saharan Africa, for sure.
On the ground, did you ever have to go through a change in leadership like this? And what does it mean for the guys that are, you know, boots on the ground?
Typically, yeah. There were changes in command, you know, when I was on the ground, but, you know, mostly it takes a while for it to reach like the guys on the ground, right? There might be policy changes or whatever, but the mission is still going to stay mostly the same for the most part, in most cases. But, you know, how that's going to be accomplished, it usually takes a while to trickle down to that and what that means, you know, and how they want to accomplish those missions. I mean, the new leader might have different priorities or whatever, but it usually takes a little while to trickle down.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, diving into a bit of our news of the weird, this next one comes from militarytimes.com. This week, Congress is going to hear information about UFOs. So the members of the House Select Intelligence Committee will hold an open hearing on what they're calling unidentified aerial phenomena. This is the first time in 50 years that they are going to hold an open hearing about this. The move comes almost 1 year after a military report outlined 144 instances of unidentified aerial phenomena. I'm just gonna call them UFOs from 2004 to 2021. That seems like a lot of UFOs.
So if you want to get a real sense of how crazy the world is right now, is that this is not even, you know, big news, right? It's not like the number one thing that you're hearing about on everything. Like, hey, you know, there's UFOs and yeah, they just happened and we're gonna have a congressional hearing about it and see what's going on. Like there are segments and subcultures of this country and this world that are probably just going nuts right now. Like this is it, and the world is so crazy that you know it's barely even noticed, right? Like
Right. Well, in 50 years too. I mean, that's going back to like Area 51, like, you know,
yeah,
the tinfoil hats and whatnot. That you have these things that everybody believes are like somehow alien in nature, but you also have to think that a lot of countries are developing drones, and we have a lot of planes in the sky all around the world. So they're going to be seeing some things that they may not even fully understand or recognize.
for sure. I mean, I think that the only, you know, way that we would even be satisfied is if one lands and a, you know, a little green man gets out, right? That's the and even then there's
Yeah.
going to be people that be like, that's fake, you know, that was fake news, that's not real, right? I don't know, it's amazing, it's astonishing. I'm going to have to keep up with it,
Mhm.
but I want to know what's out there. I want to believe. I want to believe, Shaun.
And that's the problem. See, this is what the article was saying, that obviously there's going to be a ton of jokes about this, because
Yeah.
like you can't not make jokes about the fact that we're going to talk about the UFOs in a congressional committee hearing, you know, and you're right, until one of these things lands or God forbid goes Independence Day on us, like, you know, we're pretty much just going to be like, okay, yeah, whatever, it was just like a drone or a kid flying a little helicopter or something like that. But you know, you see video of these UFOs that the military releases, and they are pretty strange. Like they're either, you know, super fast or super small, or the pilots are saying like, what the heck is that thing? So they're all sort of like freaking out over this. I'm interested to hear what's going to come out of the hearings. I will put the link in the description of when and where you will be able to go back and sort of watch these hearings and hear the description of them. But certainly the truth is out there, potentially. Um, next one, next one we're going to do, it comes from Task and Purpose. They are actually, I love this, they are doing a whole week of myth busting on their website, military myth busting. And the one that really
Love
caught
that.
my eye, because we're in Pittsburgh, is how the myth that Mr. Rogers was a deadly military sniper began. And did you, in the Army, did you believe that he was a military sniper?
So I don't know if I believed it, but I had definitely heard it, right? I had heard that Mr. Rogers was, you know, Mr. Special Forces and had been in Vietnam and was just, you know, a real hardcore, um, real hardcore badass. And there's a part of you that, you know, all these, you know, lies or myths, they have like a kernel of truth in there, or something that makes you want to believe it. And I think, you know, what it is we have this idea in our head that maybe, you know, those guys who have been through a whole bunch, right? The real tough guys, the SEALs, the Green Berets, like the guys who do the most tend to talk the least, right?
Okay.
And you have like this, like they don't have to prove anything to anybody. They know they're hardcore. They know what they can do. They
Right.
don't have to like prove it to anybody. So it's just fun to imagine that this guy who runs a kids show is actually a, you know, decorated war veteran, and you know, he's like, you know, he's just such a nice role model for
Well,
everyone.
and it was sort of debunked. The article makes mention of an episode of the Movie Makers podcast, hosted by Tim Malloy, and interviewing A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood screenwriters Noah Harpster and Micah Fitzerman Blue. Harpster does go on to say, and this is how the myth is busted. So there was actually a guy named Fred Rogers who was a Marine, he was a sharpshooter, and he started a security business. And he, for a moment, put up a website. He bought the website called fredrogers.com as his business. And it was almost immediately taken down. But people found this website because nothing ever dies on the internet.
Right.
And ever since then, Americans have really believed that Mr. Rogers, this wholesome guy who just wants to be your neighbor and wears a sweater and talks to these imaginary characters, was this super deadly sniper in Vietnam.
Yeah, I mean, in an alternate universe, this is just his, for Mr. Rogers is just he's just living out his coping mechanism. And he's,
He's
he's
just
talking to these. Can you just imagine like the fun you could have with that? I mean,
oh, completely. Like he's the guy that you see pictures of him just smiling, and you're like, oh boy, what if he was a death dealing crazy like super marine and was out there taking out whole squadrons. Like this guy's keeping his neighborhood safe, and yet he just wants to be a neighbor.
Yeah, like, watch out for Charlie in the Wire, Daniel Tiger.
Exactly. Next one. This we're going to start our video. So if you haven't jumped over to YouTube, now's the time. If you download this episode, jump over to YouTube, because also coming from Task and Purpose, and this is going to be on an upcoming episode of the Scuttlebutt. And Ryan and I are stoked about this, is that Top Gun Maverick comes out this week. Of the airing of this episode, Top Gun Maverick is out. Ryan and I and Catherine and Evan, we're going to do a movie review of Top Gun Maverick, and of another movie, I think the 1517 to Paris. We're going to talk about all those movies. Mainly, we're excited to talk about Top Gun Maverick because we want to buzz towers.
Yeah.
But we all know that the original Top Gun was a huge recruiting tool for the Navy. Like a lot of guys joined after watching Top Gun, and rightfully so. It is the best fighter pilot movie I think ever made. There's nothing that tops it, except for maybe the new Top Gun Maverick, which we haven't seen yet. But coming from Task and Purpose, the Air Force is hoping to snag Top Gun Maverick fans with a recruiting ad before the movie. We're going to play this ad right now, and it's sick. There's an F-22 Raptor that is pulling what's called a J maneuver in this video. I mean, if I could do this, and it takes a lot of skill to be able to pull this off. You're not going to do this straight out of flight school. But let's take a watch for the Air Force's recruiting video that they're playing before the new Top Gun Maverick movie. Let me know if you can hear this mute sound.
The Earth is 70% water.
A-10.
And 30% land.
F-22.
The entire sky belongs to us.
Already getting shivers. F-35. That's the maneuver, a J maneuver. Look at that.
Copy that. Team Hireman.
I mean,
have you watched that? Is that the first time you've seen that, Ryan?
Yeah.
Is your heart pounding?
It is. I want to kick on the afterburners. I want to kick the tires and light the fires. Let's go. Like,
wow.
So, I mean, Top Gun, when I was a kid, that was my movie. And that's what made me wanted to be a fighter pilot. Right. But then, I didn't have good enough eyesight or whatever. And
same.
That was, but I'm sure the Navy is going to be like, hey, man, you're stepping on our turf. Like, this is a Navy movie.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I guess, if Air Force is going to pay for it, Navy's probably like, sure.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, there's like recruiting's hard, right? And like the Air Force doesn't have enough pilots, and, the military doesn't have enough people and so on. So like anything like this to like get people excited. I mean, I think it's fun. And like, the movie is probably going to be amazing, and hopefully there's so many people that run to the recruiter's office that they have to spread all the pilots around. They have to spread all the Mavericks around, and they gotta, maybe they should do like an event. I'm just spitballing here, but maybe they're like, show up at the recruiting event, get free lunch, get a cool call sign, we'll give you one, and sign up for the military. Everyone gets a call sign.
Every city should have a simulator.
Yeah.
Every city a simulator. I would go and pay good money to go sit in an F-22 simulator and do dogfights. But you're also going to get those teenagers who are like, I played video games my whole life. I can go in and do that. But those are the guys that you're looking at. Like, hey, this is adrenaline rush, or this is a way to serve in a very like a cool way. I mean, we had the F-15 pilot come onto the Scuttlebutt, talk about what it's like to fly one of these things. But in that article, they also talk about an F-15 pilot who transitioned to the F-22, and he was like, it's like pretty much going from driving a bus to driving a lightning bolt. Yeah. It's not even fair to the other guy who's trying to dogfight you when you're in an F-22. He's like, it's built for this. And yeah, and there's not that many of them. Like, they already sort of transitioned to the F-35, but the F-22 is there to really be like the boxer. Like, those are sent in to do the dogfighting. Air superiority. Yeah,
that's what they're there for. And it's exciting. I was kind of, so the one thing that I saw in the Top Gun Maverick commercials that I was a little bit disappointed with is they seem to be flying F-18s in that movie, which is cool and everything. Like, F-18s are awesome, but it's not new. I wanted something new. Like, an F-18 has been around forever. I wanted them to be like, we're gonna be flying F-35s or F-22s or whatever, or I don't know. Like, that was like, I'm sure probably there's gonna be a big reveal halfway through the movie, like, because of this special mission, Maverick, we need to give you the top piece of equipment. And there's gonna be like, dun dun dun, here's the F-110, and they're gonna be like, only you can fly it, Maverick. And then he's gonna like single-handedly like defeat communism or something.
I'm sending this clip of your movie voice to Hollywood, and they're going to get you in Top Gun 3 with Miles Teller. Because now you're going to make a franchise. There's going to be a Top Gun universe now, and they're going to have to do all that. But you might be right. I do know that there is a super advanced plane in Top Gun Maverick that was it's completely fictional, but was so real, there's headlines about this, that China was actually surveilling the production because they thought it was real. This is what the filmmakers said. You got to look up this headline. I'll put it in the description.
I do. See, I mean, it makes sense, right? It makes sense. But I'm not signing on to Top Gun 3 without Kelly McGinnis. That's in my contract. I need...
From the first movie?
Yeah, she's going to be my love interest. And that's
Jennifer Connelly, Kelly McGinnis.
Nope. I'm old school. He deserved to be a number 2.
She did.
And I'm not going to be happy until she's back in the Top Gun universe.
This is a preview of your critique already.
Yes. Call me. We'll work something out.
We'll do lunch.
Yeah.
And speaking of recruiting videos, Ryan, you sent me this. This comes from military.com. And this is a video. It's about 3 minutes long, but this video is titled Ghosts in the Machine. This was released on May 2nd, and this comes from the 4th Psychological Operations Group, or PSYOPS. Can you give me sort of a preamble of who PSYOPS is? Because when we switch over and people watch this video on the Scuttlebutt, they're going to be like, what is this?
Psychological operations is like this. It plays a large part in stability and support operations and trying to, influence the attitudes of the enemy and so on and so forth. But especially over the past 20 years, it become more and more important because the mission has been to try to win hearts and minds. But this video, like, you want to talk about production value, you want to talk about just like a cool factor. Like, never did PSYOPS ever cross my mind in my military career, or in a way that like this would be the type of thing that I would want to do. But I'm telling you, like, after watching this video, like, I want to go do that. I'm like, there's an undeniable cool factor. And what the best part about the video is like, it in itself is a successful psychological operation, right? The video about PSYOPS has effectively, changed my mind about psychological operations. And I'm like, wow, this is cool. Now, are you ever going to be realistically doing any of the things in this video? I don't know. Probably not. There is a spot in there where they're throwing pamphlets out the back of a plane. I know I've seen them do that. But I'm not sure exactly. But the video is awesome. Warfare is changing, as they state in the video. And
they like quote Sun Tzu, they quote Shakespeare. Like there's a lot in this. We won't play the whole thing. We'll go through maybe half of it here.
It is a cool video.
Yeah, here we go. I will say that I do like the images of chess in this.
Yeah, very cool. Already just getting
As
this
the world
vibe.
watches and listens in
God.
horror, the
Ominous.
peaceful pro-democracy demonstration in China comes to a violent and bloody end.
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
Wolves hiding nearby, whispering, do or die
Patch?
around
Yeah.
me. You say your last good night while I get
Okay. There's still about 2 minutes of that, but I mean,
Yeah.
that just gives you a preamble. That is so Christopher Nolan. Like, I don't know who
Right?
directed it, but that's a
Yeah.
great, and it gets more ominous from there.
Yeah.
So yeah, it makes you feel like, oh, we gotta do so. We gotta save the world, something.
I know it does. Yeah, you're right. That's a great point. It does feel very Christopher Nolan. It feels like you're in a Batman movie, right? And you're so like the world is at stake, and you have to do something. And like the patch is cool, gives you this historical context. It just looks cool. I mean,
Mhm.
it's just cool, right? So, I mean, if you're trying to recruit people, especially kids, nowadays who might be more interested in that, and you're looking to get people to serve in different capacities, like
Mhm.
there it is. Whether you're the tip of the spear or not, I don't know. Maybe you're like the digital tip of the
The,
spear.
the digital tip of the spear. You're onto something there. You gotta TM that.
Yeah.
Uh, So moving on from that mind fuckackle, this comes from militarytimes.com. I thought this was an interesting article. 23 things veterans may carry for life. I'm gonna list a couple of these, and for veterans listening, you may relate to some of these because it is kind of a tongue-in-cheek-ish list. But Ryan, you let me know as I read through a couple of these what your thoughts are. Because there's a fair number of them here. Number one, an incessant need to roll socks.
I mean, I'm surprised that's number one. Like, do I roll my socks? Yes. Do I feel it's an incessant need? I don't know, but maybe it's so subconscious. Maybe it's so ingrained in me that I guess, you know what? Fair point. I will agree with that because when I met my wife, she never rolled her socks and it drove me nuts. So I guess now we're sock rollers in my family, and it's
Is your daughter
probably
a sock roller too?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. She loves to mate the socks.
So they were right.
Done. Yeah.
Number two, bad knees.
Oh, 100%. Yes.
Yeah. Three, the misguided idea that ibuprofen and fresh socks will cure any ailment.
Well, the problem there is that it's not misguided. It will fix any ailment.
Four, tinnitus.
What? Yes. There was connected.
Yep. The five, the ability to sleep anywhere.
100%. Yeah, that's true.
Six, the plight of not being able to sleep at all.
Also, yes.
Seven, old combat boots. They're great for mowing the lawn or a trip to Home Depot.
Grass stains come right off. They're right there. You don't have to worry. It can be a little muddy. No big deal.
Eight, fear of tape tests.
Not if you're a fit fighting machine like me.
Nine, issues with authority figures.
Just yes. Yeah, 100%.
10, back pain.
There was connected again.
Yep. 11, t-shirts from strange events and places they don't remember going.
Yeah, I would say.
12, a whoopee that has seen better days.
First of all, if you don't know what a whoopee is, it is the piece of field equipment that you as a grunt can carry around because it's light and it's comfortable and it's kind of a joke, but everyone makes fun of it and they also love it. So the whoopee.
The whoopee. 13, a swearing problem that is foobar.
Heck, I got better after I had a kid and wanted to just keep a relationship going with my significant other. But yes, I mean, sentence enhancement is what we like to call it.
Oh, that's a good one. Sentence enhancement.
Yeah.
I'm keeping that. 14, a love-hate relationship with acronyms.
Yeah, you kind of just are like, oh, God, come on, do we need to really have an acronym for everything?
15, total disdain for PowerPoint.
You get there, especially on my career path when I went from enlisted to officer, and then everything was about PowerPoints.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny because at BBC, a lot of our stuff is PowerPoints, but I did not know that military veterans may not like them. I'm going to bring that up at our next live event, Monday nights at 7. 16, scars from barracks shenanigans gone awry.
Yeah, I mean, that happens. I don't have any scars, but I've seen some very silly things happen in barracks. Riding, cardboard boxes downstairs, throwing metal tipped darts at each other.
Oh God, no. No, there's too many soft points.
Yeah.
17, a few ugly divorces.
Oh, that happens to everyone. I mean, everyone in the army talks about their starter wife, right? That's true.
18, a truck they bought after gaining some sense and selling that Camaro they financed at 27% APR.
Joe, the young privates, they will spend their money on anything. And yep, that's typically where it starts, a car. They're like, oh, I get a car. And I got it from Jimmy's down the road right outside base. And it was, costing 30% interest.
19, some weird strip club stories.
Of course.
We'll keep it PC here on Scuttlebutt. But 20, sleep apnea, which probably goes along with not being able to sleep.
Yeah, a lot of people have that.
21, bad tattoos that seemed like a really good idea at the time.
Yeah. I once saw a soldier. He thought I was joking with him. He got his dog tags tattooed on his ribs, and they had spelled his name wrong. I'm not kidding. And he didn't notice it until I pointed it out.
His mother was probably so proud.
Yeah.
22, boxy brown t-shirts that somehow have sweat stains in a different, more gross shade of brown.
Yeah, 100%. It goes along with, that's what you wear while you're using your old combat boots to mow the lawn.
And 23, last but not least, a deeply stained, never before washed coffee mug that they tell everyone is seasoned.
Yeah. So there's a level there. You'll typically see that with like a platoon sergeant or a first sergeant, right? They're the ones, no one else has the time to walk around and drink coffee all day, but those guys, they're going to die before they don't get their cup of coffee in the morning. So that's where you'll typically see that.
And finally, we came across this article, which we had to play. This has to do with the war in Ukraine, but someone made a mockumentary, because if you followed the war in Ukraine, you know that the Russians aren't doing too well with their tanks. In fact, I think some of the Ukrainian army is now using some of the Russian tanks against the Russians. But someone made a David Attenborough mockumentary of a Russian tank in Ukraine, which is kind of brilliant. Let me go ahead and share my screen here as you can see it. Just give it a listen.
This is a Russian tank. Like the Pacific salmon, Russian tanks migrate long distances from the abyss of Russia to end their lives in Ukraine's beautiful fields. Driven by an evolutionary desire to end their life somewhere better, after reaching Ukraine, all species of Russian tank die. The 2022 run was a major event for predators, such as Ukrainian SOF teams, TB2 Bayraktars, and local farmers on tractors. Most tank species pop their turrets to celebrate the end of their life cycles.
I saw that and just had to share it. As we've said about gallows humor, it seems like that's just a touch of gallows humor.
Yeah, and it's so well done, and it's so funny that it's kind of understated. And hey, bring your seeds, Russia, so that flowers can grow. Okay, because it's good for them. I mean, the independence that you're going to treasure the most is the one that you win on your own. And I'm very, you know, excited to see that the Ukrainians have stood up and have defended themselves with such vigor, which is very encouraging, which is good. So yeah, definitely a bit of gallows humor there. And the Russians, man, they're not having a good time.
No, and
mistakes were made.
many mistakes that we haven't thoroughly gone over here on the Scuttlebutt, mainly because this is an ever evolving conflict, and something that I'm sure most people are getting much better news from all of these different sources. And I recommend checking out all of these sources. And you can even go on YouTube. People have already started creating a history of the Ukrainian war videos to talk about the stages. We're going into third month, almost fourth month of this war. So people are already, developing videos to talk about how those stages have either gone wrong for the Russians, how they shifted, where they're at now, where the Ukrainians are at now, ever evolving, like we said. And
I would love to see more David Attenborough, or even fake David Attenborough narrated videos about how this happened. I think it would be really interesting just to see a spoof on like Putin, right? Just
probably.
And I mean, because he would see it and then he would hate it, and it'd just be a great way to make fun of a guy who's a giant a-hole. So it'd be
what is that called? A sentence? It's not foobar.
Sentence enhancer.
A sentence enhancer.
Yeah.
Thank you. Well, thank you to our audience for joining us for a bit of news of the weird around the military headlines. We'll be back with further new episodes of the Scuttlebutt. A lot planned for you here in season 6. And please like, share, subscribe, ring the bell on YouTube so you're the first to know when we release those new episodes. Ryan, it's always a pleasure to have you along. Excited to have you along for all the future stuff we have going on. Appreciate the support, and we'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, I'm excited to go see Top Gun, so let's do this.
Oh my God, I can't wait. All right, we'll see ya.
Bye, guys.
Thank you for watching this episode of The Scuttlebutt. I'd like to take a moment to thank both of our sponsors, the first being D&D Metal Recycling and Auto Salvage. They began as a small hauling and used auto parts operation in the Pittsburgh area in the late 1970s, but they've grown into a full-service metal recycling company with 2 locations, Lawrenceville and Tarentum. D&D accepts all types of metal, both ferrous and non-ferrous, that may be generated by industrial manufacturing, construction, and demolition, small commercial entities, as well as individual customers. They have a wide variety of material handling equipment and are capable of managing any type of job in a timely and efficient manner. You can contact them for quotes and availability at D&D. That's D&D autosalvage.com. Thank you so much to D&D. They've been a sponsor for quite some time, and we really appreciate their support. The second being tobacco-free Adagio Health. They are dedicated to reducing and preventing tobacco use and to getting the word out about the hazards of smoking and secondhand smoke. They're all about health. So they want people to quit, and they have classes and nicotine replacement therapy and a popular quit line, which is the easiest number to remember ever, 1-800-QUIT-NOW. They also educate people, children especially, about tobacco use from cigarettes, cigars, pipes, chew, snuff, and other nicotine products like vaping. Finally, tobacco-free Adagio Health advocates for public and private policies that ensure healthy places to live, work, and play. You can learn all of what tobacco-free Adagio Health offers at tobaccofree.adagiohealth.org, or you can watch our recent episode with tobacco-free Adagio Health on the Scuttlebutt, where they talk about a lot of the programs that they offer for those who are looking to quit. Thank you to both of our sponsors for their continued support of the Scuttlebutt podcast. We really appreciate it. Thanks.